Swapping mags!
Swapping mags. Swapping mags. Swapping mags.
Swapping mags!
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the unofficial Rainbow Six Siege podcast. I'm your host, Jason Anderson. Alongside me, as always, we have Braxipad, and Pat's not here. I think he's going to call in a minute, though.
I think tonight's going to be a little shorter than normal.
Right. You know, we're trying to get this podcast out. We've been working with some scheduling, but we have to get this podcast out, and it's one thing in particular. We got to talk about Grim Sky, Braxton.
I'm stoked on it. Oh,
it's okay. I think we've cursed on the podcast a lot already.
Yeah, I've just been doing it all day, so I forget.
Yeah. But I have to ask you one question, Braxton.
Mm-hmm.
What's in the canister? Did you like the song?
It was so cool. I hope everybody else liked it too.
I don't know if I should bring it back. What do you think?
I'm gonna say hold off. Let us know how it sounds.
Okay.
And then if they want it back, if they missed it enough, we'll bring it back.
All right. Well, so we're gonna do that right now.
I know what you're wondering. What's in the canister? I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
Okay. So, Braxton, we're talking all about Grim Sky. First off, let's talk about the name Grim Sky. What do you think?
I really, really like it. It's dark. It sounds eerie. I see rain. I see thunder. I see electricity.
Mm-hmm.
I see lots of these things happening.
Okay. So we are going to talk about these two operators. So one thing we say a lot on this podcast, it's because we were right, Braxton.
We are right so many times, and I love it.
Yeah.
Because of the attacking, what we think is going to be the attacking operator.
Right. It shows in the picture itself. We'll tweet out the picture in case nobody has seen it yet. I'm sure everybody that listens to this podcast has saw it. But I think we should, I want everyone to tweet us saying how right we always are.
That would be great. Or send some flowers, maybe, I don't know, a couple bucks.
Couple bucks our way, just here's 20,000 for being right. Maybe we can get a studio
20,000.
Instead of doing it in my house.
20,000.
That's quick money. But let's talk about it. Good thing Pat's not here to interject. Let's talk about these two operators. Now, let's talk about the attacking operator, the blowtorch operator.
Hard breacher, a different hard breacher. Finally.
It's what we wanted.
It is, and this is just... I'll talk about that after. I'm not going to bring it up now because it'll take me on like a side road.
Okay.
But we finally got another hard breacher. It's going to be somebody that I'm going to assume you have to be close to the actual wall itself. So
yeah.
Reinforcement.
Oh, yeah.
Which I'm okay with. I feel like Hibana's is great, and Hibana will probably always be the number one hard breacher. But it'll be nice to see if they make somebody that really competes it. Not that Thermite's bad. Obviously he blows a bigger hole. That's his whole thing.
Right.
It's nice to be at a distance when you do it instead of having to be right next to the wall.
Now, it looks like this operator is a female operator.
Dope. I think it's super cool.
Yeah.
I'm all about the female operators. Frost.
Yep.
Come on.
Who
doesn't love Frost? Who doesn't love...
Nobody doesn't like Frost.
That's what I'm saying.
Except if you're playing against her.
Yeah.
So,
you gotta be smart enough to look out for that.
Yeah. So let's look at her. So she definitely has a blowtorch in her hands.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know if have you seen like the notes that are under it on the, also, I apologize for any noise. I'm by the street right now.
Hold on. Braxton, Pat is calling. Let me, hey, alright, let me merge the call here. Alright, you guys are on together. Pat's here, guys.
Hot and heavy, Patrick Finati. I'm exhausted.
That's good. We are currently recording the podcast.
What?
We're on the air.
Oh. Okay. We've only been at it for a little bit, but we're we're talking about the new Hard Breacher. Have you seen like the pictures and read like the little description and whatnot?
I have not.
What?
Oh, you should get on that.
Patrick, I'm going to send you the picture right now, okay?
Alright.
So, we got the new operation title, Pat, and it's called Grim Sky.
Operation Grim Sky.
Grim Sky, and,
Sounds pretty cool. Sounds like a James Bond movie.
Yep. And, we were right. It is a hard breacher with a blowtorch. And the other one,
Yes.
I could definitely see his name being Shockwave McGillicuddy.
Shockwave McGee. I don't like the fact. I'm kind of splitting off from the attacker. I don't like the fact that this dude's in like a suit.
Yeah,
Kind of cool.
It's like a little scientist effect. Like that's what it looks like. I'm gonna assume he's some kind of military scientist.
yeah, he kind of looks like a Batman villain.
I was thinking it looks very Batman-esque, the Operation Grim Sky,
So,
the leaked image.
yeah, like what I'm looking at, is that going to be covered on a reinforced wall to give it shock?
So here's what I think, and I know we kind of split off the attacker, but I feel like the attacker's kind of like pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's a blowtorch.
I feel like it's going to be something more like a deployable shield.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are speculating that it's going to be a shield defensive operator,
Mm-hmm.
like a Montaigne or a Blitz, but for defense.
Oh.
Right. That's
think
why
that would be
I think
OP?
that would be. I don't think it would be OP. If anything, a defensive operator with a shield, I feel like that puts you at a disadvantage when you're like as an attacker, you see a shield operator just chilling in a corner, and you're just gonna be like, nah, whatever. Like I'll just leave him, you know?
Right.
Yeah, but that places the emphasis on that shield operator. Like, you can kind of lead them to where you want to go. Like, you see that shield operator, you want to get them out the way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I definitely see it. I just feel like for him to be more viable, he might have like a couple of them that are like deployable shields where people can't necessarily jump over them
Mm-hmm.
because it's going to shock them, or maybe they can and it's just going to shock them really hard. Make them kind of force them to go another way until they destroy that, which I'm sure it'll be destroyable with like Ash. I'm sure Thatcher will shut it down, things like that.
I want to go a little more in depth on both of these characters. Now, looking at this hard breacher with the blowtorch, really, honestly, is she viable at all? Like, until we get more information, all I'm getting is it's a blowtorch. What do you guys think?
I think it's going to be slow.
Yeah.
And, like, if Rainbow Sixes, the plural,
Mhm.
if they stick to how real and how realistic they try to make the game, it's going to take a while to get through it. So I'm going to imagine it's a smaller hole.
Now, wouldn't you imagine when you start, I'm sure you're going to have a visual representation, or at least, like, hear this blowtorch, walk outside, and shoot this dude, this chick.
Right, but you could say the same thing for Thermite, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
I
Thermite,
mean, think about how long that takes. I mean, it's what? Put it on the wall.
but Thermite can run away.
Back on. Yeah.
A second or two at most, but I think you're going to be a lot more vulnerable with this guy.
It's going to be very, like, interesting to see what they
That's
do.
why I imagine it's got to be a small. There's no way he's gonna sit there
Yeah.
and then he's done. Like, nah.
I don't know. You think it could be like a variable size hole?
Yeah, that's why I say maybe more like Hibana, like half of a Hibana size hole.
Right.
Which then is that character really gonna be viable? Is that hole gonna be used ever? Probably.
Well,
not.
if, like, you can
people
draw
would
your
probably
own-
use Hibana.
Maybe you can draw your
I
own
think there
hole.
might be a big hole.
Oh,
Yeah, you can draw your own.
You can draw your own. Shit.
I mean, we'd see a lot of dicks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the time. So I would imagine they're not gonna do that.
Right, be like, oh, another dick hole
You
coming
never know.
through.
I think that would be hilarious to like be on the defending side and all of a sudden this big hole pops out.
Yeah.
Here's a question I have, and this is what I was talking about. I didn't want to go on a rabbit hole on. But how do you think these operators, if they are what you're thinking they will be, will affect the rest of like competitive comps and other teams, other characters, things like that? Because I think of like like Thatcher shutting down that electrical shield. Like that's going to be, depending on how much that character gets used, that's going to have to be used a lot. Or how is this going to affect like Mute and Bandit?
I think this blowtorch operator right now, speculation wise, I don't think will be used in comp at all. I think she would be the least viable of the 3 hard breachers. Braxton, there's a train going by.
I
All right, well, let's just let the trade go by, I guess.
It's so far away. It's so far away. I cannot believe it's picking that up.
That's so funny. But anyway, I just don't see it. They're gonna have to add something to this character other than the blowtorch.
Right, and that's what I say. Like, I mean, Mute is Mute gonna stop a blowtorch? Is that how they're gonna do it? Because I don't think so.
And this is all speculatory as well. I think he's going to be a fairly strong operator, but that's just my assumption. I could be completely wrong, and you guys are going to be right. But
well, I mean, I imagine Mute won't be able to stop him, but at the same time, it's kind of one of those things where Mute doesn't really get used that often, so it doesn't really matter. You know, Bandit's always. I think most of the time he's the anti-hard breacher.
Right, and I think Bandit wouldn't affect this, right, at all. The Mute would. But not the Bandit.
No, I don't think Mutes would, because it's not an electrical device. Like anybody, like a little thing of propane and some fire.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think Bandits would either, because you're not touching the wall.
So this would make her as viable as possible if nothing can stop her. But I would assume that this new operator that they're releasing would be able to stop her.
I don't think so. I feel like the one in the next one, if they're going to put out a hard breacher, they're going to put out 100%. Next one has to have an anti-hard breacher, so I imagine it'll be something to do with that, because I kind of like, I don't remember which one of you just said it, but maybe it'll get around both anti-hard breachers to the point where you do have to watch that reinforced wall.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think it'll change the strategy a lot.
I think it's going to be a strong operator.
Especially if that's the case.
It would be interesting if nothing can stop it, because every operator has to have a counter, but I think this operator's counter would be getting shot the minute the wall fell.
Yeah. That's what I say, especially if it takes a long time, that would make sense. That would make sense on why it takes so long. The counter to that is that if somebody watches it or even runs by the reinforced wall for a second, they're going to see him and be able to shoot him.
Now, this is odd. What if a counter to this girl is like, instead of it falling over, she literally has to go into an animation of her pushing out the spot she just did?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like maybe.
I feel like the animation that's going to be the longest is her cutting it, and then it's going to pop out real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I say I don't know. I feel like if we're thinking about what the anti will be, say it comes next DLC.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know. I don't know. Maybe somebody to put some kind of coating on the outside of the reinforced wall.
Yeah.
It's actually Shockwave McGillicuddy. That's
right.
Shockwave McGillicuddy.
Yeah, let's go.
Shockwave McGillicuddy and Inferno McGillicuddy.
Right, they're brother and sister.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Shockwave McGillicuddy. Braxton, so you think this operator has nothing to do with stopping hard breaching?
I don't. I really don't.
So what do you think this shock on top of his shield is, then?
That's what I say. I imagine it's a deployable shield. Imagine a deployable shield, and you know when you can put a bandit on the other side of it, and when people jump over it, it hurts.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever done that.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be like an intense version of that, where it either hurts them more, or gets to the point where they can't touch it at all.
Right.
So you put that down in the middle of a doorway, and until they destroy it, they can't get over it.
Now, looking back at Parabellum, you see these two operators that have futuristic stuff. Do you think they would go back and do something that plain for this kind of operator?
I think they would, because I think enough of, these were probably already developed, but I feel like enough of the community has expressed the fact that, like, hey, we don't want this to be some kind of futuristic warfare game.
Right.
Try to keep it all in the same realm. And that's why I say it's got to be something simple, but not something too simple, like just having a hammer, like Sledge.
Right.
Like just having a blowtorch.
Yeah, that is true.
I think there might be a little more. I mean, there's definitely going to be a little. Well, I say that no one knows, but hopefully there's a little more to this shield guy than I think. But I still think that's viable. Being able to cut down or cut out like a doorway or something. If they can't get through it, if they don't have an Ash, they don't have somebody with frags or whatever, a Thatcher, then they can't get through it.
Now, what do you think the range on this blowtorch is gonna? Could I look up and blowtorch something above my head?
I don't think so.
No,
That would be crazy, though.
that would make her
Then
insane.
You get through ceiling hatches that are reinforced.
Oh yeah, definitely. You could definitely do that.
But
It's going to be a kill if you could get close to him. Like, you can use their blowtorch and kill him.
Do you think?
I mean, I feel like it. I mean, Ashes can do it. Sledge can do it.
Yeah,
Like, kill people with their gadgets kind of thing.
yeah. I definitely think it'll do damage, but I don't think it's gonna be. It'll be a fun trick shot, but not a real actual kill. Like
Yeah.
you never actually do it.
I guess my worry is mainly that it's just not like I just don't want it to be like a filler. Like, our game's been not doing so well, so here's a couple new characters. Hope you guys like them, you know?
Right.
Which I don't think so. I'm sure these characters have been in development for a while, but I don't know. I'm more excited about the defensive shield operator. I just think that's a cool mechanic. I think it'll change strategies. It'll change comps around just a little bit. Nothing crazy.
Let's talk about.
Shield operator.
Yeah.
I was just under the assumption when you guys first started talking about it that there would be like, you know, an actual movable shield that you carry around like.
Well, that's why I said it could be. I don't know. Maybe you
I
can
think that would be a big distraction for the attacking team.
Maybe you can move it around and plant it, and it doesn't take long to like uproot it like a deployable shield or like decompress it, whatever. Maybe you can just pop it up, walk with it, hide behind it, set it down, and then use your primary to peek around it. Oh,
I want him sick. I want the person to say, "You shall not pass" every time he puts it down, except in Gandalf's voice. That would be amazing.
Right. Yeah.
See, Patrick, you know what that leads to? Then it leads to people saying, "Oh, I want to ride a Griffin."
Right, and then they'll have Griffins in the game.
Team down.
The slippery slope. That one.
All right, well, you both are idiots, but I'm looking at this picture here, and if you look at it, it has layers to it in which this thing's going to extend out.
Layers.
So like an ogre.
Well, no, like onions have layers, and I think his shield has layers. It's kind of like a parfait. Everybody loves parfait.
So you say, does it look like a deployable shield? Then you think?
I don't even
Deployable
think.
Shield has those like not steps, but you know, like you said, layers.
Honestly, no, because it's going to extend out to his left and right is what it looks like. I think he's going to plant something down, and then he's going to put it to his left and right, extend it out. It could possibly be just a bigger shield. That could be what it is, but I'm just interested to see what the shock wires have to do with the whole thing.
Yeah, that's why I say, like, you don't. I mean, until it comes out, we can't really tell what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I'm more excited for the defensive operator,
Right.
and I'm sure the attacking operator will be fine. It's just I feel like the defensive one will be more fun for kind of like Alibi. Like, even if she's not viable, she's still fun to play.
Right.
Like the attacking wise, like if somebody isn't viable or fun to play, everyone's gonna pick her.
Yeah.
No,
It's gonna be another wasted operator. Well, I say another, but like I don't think Capcan's a wasted operator, but Capcan, he never gets picked.
I agree. Last thing I want to talk about here for Grim Sky is let's talk about what kind of map do you think is going to consist of Grim Sky?
It's got to be some kind of high rise.
You think so?
Yeah, I think it
I
might
feel
be
like it.
Here's how I'm envisioning it. Like a very Victorian era, like Gothic style architecture under like of course, a grim sky, like a gray sky.
Would you be
Like very
interested in like a castle?
castle. be like more modern,
Okay.
like a Royal Palace type look.
All right, Braxton, what do you think?
I feel like, I mean, that'd be awesome. But I feel like with all the water and like all that kind of thing that's going on the like preview picture, it might be on a ship, kind of like Shipyard from Call of Duty. I don't know.
Well, we have yacht.
We're getting Call of Duty fans, but
That's true. I definitely think it's gonna have to do with like a muddy terrain around it. And when you think of muddy terrain, it possibly could be like in a jungle, or it could be just very outdoorsy. Would be really cool. Just something to switch it up.
I think it depends on where the operators are from. Do we know where they're from yet?
I believe one is American and one is from Britain. I think. Isn't that what?
That's why I was going with like the Victorian era architecture type deal, because
With some kind of like swampy stuff on the outside, almost like a haunted house.
Yeah.
yeah.
Would this be the first map that could include weather physics like rain and thunder?
That really want to see lightning on it. That would be amazing.
Yeah, like a big part of this game is the sound of it, and that would be crazy.
Oh man, I didn't even think about the sound aspect of
Yeah.
Yeah, like having thunder and lightning.
Yeah, lightning would be
Yeah.
crazy, light up the whole place. So expectations wise, where do you think this is gonna end up? Grimsky, are you guys excited?
I'm stoked on the defensive. I mean, I'm stoked for another hard breacher too, because no matter what, we've got another hard breacher. So
Mhm.
I'd say I'm like 6.5 out of 10 excited.
6 out of 10. That's not very excited, Braxton.
I mean, if I say 7, I feel like that's too high. If I say 6, I feel like it's too low. So I'm just go right in the middle.
All right.
Like if someone bought me an avocado for Christmas.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Now, I want to throw you guys some news here before we, there are some maps being reworked in Rainbow Six to bring back into competitive play.
Okay.
So we have Hartford Base is being reworked to try to be back into ranked play. That's the first one. What do you guys think?
That'd be fine as long as it was reworked the right way.
All right.
So like they'd have to make more things wood, like the floors.
Yeah.
That'd be.
I don't know. I feel like there's enough in the floors. It's mainly those windows from the outside that are killer.
That's true. There are a lot of windows.
There's so many windows.
It definitely looks like they will be going back and play and reworking all the maps that didn't work to try to essentially bring them all back into competitive play. Do you guys think there are some maps that you just don't think are savable?
Favela.
I don't know. I think that could be saved.
I think they all could be saved as long as they were worked right.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, they can do whatever they want to them, so they can make it valuable.
Right.
I don't know how late I joined, but did you guys already have the discussion about Capital and Castle?
No, I've had to keep it short today. I've got to tattoo some grapefruits tonight.
Heyo.
Okay.
Braxton, we can let you go, and Pat and I can keep talking if you're totally,
Yeah, it's 9. I've done my 30 minutes.
All right, well, give the audience a goodbye.
I will. Au revoir. I would like to shout out this guy named, if I pronounce your last name wrong, I'm sorry, Levi Bouch.
Mm-hmm.
He followed me on Instagram. I've been talking to him. He's a super cool guy. Go follow him.
All right.
Leviathan_22. Super cool dude.
Done. I'll follow him after this podcast.
Do it. I'll send
I
you his
would if
stuff.
I had Instagram.
Yeah, Pat doesn't have an Instagram. All right, Braxton,
All right,
we will
well.
see you guys. We'll see you next week, all right?
All right. Au revoir, everyone.
All right, Pat. It's me and you now.
Now that loser's out the way.
Now that he's gone, let's talk about the real stuff we want to talk about. So we got some viewer questions this week.
I'm excited.
Let's see what we got going on. We have from Peter Cleaves here asked, after the advanced drone deployment option, what other gameplay features would you like to be added? Advanced rappelling options to stop you from stepping back onto the roof, Twitch drone development, which keeps you in the drone when the round starts, ? any of that stuff that you think would make a game better. Pat, what are you thinking?
Just the initial two that sound pretty good because I'm sure we've all had this happen. You're just paying attention to shooting, and you accidentally step off a ledge. That'd be cool if it was automatic. Your guy instantly repels. I think that would be pretty cool.
Oh, definitely.
The Twitch thing, for sure. I've always thought that you should be able to stay in your cam even when the round ends. I think as a drone operator, that's essential, and they definitely should add that.
Yeah, as a Twitch player, I always am like, oh god, I gotta hide somewhere because they're gonna shoot my drone if I don't.
Yeah, it'd just be so nice if you stayed in it. It's a lot more time valuable, I guess. I mean, it always sucks trying to hide your drone in the last 10 seconds, or not even go in there because you're gonna get shot if you're in a bad place when the pre-phase ends.
No, I definitely agree. So I don't know what else I would add. I think what he stated was really good ideas, and I don't know.
I think, maybe it's just me, but I have a lot of problems.
Yeah, of course.
Trying to put on, of course I have some problems, but trying to put reinforcements on a wall, it never gives me the square option. Oh man, I gotta wiggle around and try and find that.
Right,
find
yeah.
that square.
Well, Pat, that was a good question. I actually pulled up the information on Grim Sky so we could talk about it a little more, so I'm going to read this off. So here it is. The first operator is a defender from Great Britain. She's a tough police officer who's an expert on mob behavior and snatch squad tactics. She knows she belongs on the front line and she won't tolerate any nonsense. The second operator is an American attacker, a specialist with a remarkable sharp mind when it comes to tactical operations. He has seen the worst in Kabul. Despite it all, he fell in love with the city. Legendary for his surgical precision, he remains an enigma within the Rainbow Six. And also, they are going to be reworking Hartford base despite the high chance of rain at the iconic training faculty. We're renovating the place and making adjustments to raise the bar for competitive play. So there you go. That's a little backstory on the Grim Sky operators. It's interesting.
Sounds really cool.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think I'll fall in love with the British lady, though.
You think so?
She has a British accent. Yeah.
All right. So she's a hard breacher with a blowtorch. Let's give her a name. Let's give her a fake name that we think is funny and a real name that we don't think is too funny. What is her joke name?
Her joke name. It's got to be something to do with the torch, right?
Right. The Human Torch?
Hot something. Hot something. Give me the second part of that.
Hot blowjobs.
Oh, okay.
What? That's her job. That's what she does.
Yeah, she's a blowtorch. Good at blowing things.
Yeah. So we got.
I think you were gonna take it that route.
We'll call her Hot Blowjobs. But what do you think her actual name would be?
Like operator name or?
Yeah. Torch is interesting.
Torch is cool, but then you have some operators okay, you got Sledge. Pretty obvious why he's named Sledge.
Right.
And then you got Habana.
Yeah, it's true.
I have no idea why she's named Habana. So it's up in the air. I can see Torch.
Yeah, does Habana mean something in a different language?
Any of our Japanese viewers can enlighten us.
Let's see. Habana translation. Let's see if it means anything. Habana means spark.
Oh.
So there you go.
Okay. That's good. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. Interesting fact.
So she's from Great Britain, so they speak English. So something like a torch or...
Lantern.
What was it?
That was stupid. I said lantern.
Lantern, like Green Lantern?
Yeah.
Let's see.
I think they're cool.
Yeah, Beacon. What about called Beacon?
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
The beacon in the darkness.
There you go.
The grim sky.
And then we have the American. They say he's got surgical precision and an enigma to the Rainbow Six. What would you call him there?
Shockwave McGillicuddy.
Shockwave McGillicuddy. Perfect.
So he's a SEAL guy, right?
Yeah.
We already have Doc, so there goes like the surgeon avenue, I think.
What are those things? The paddles that they put on the chest?
Defibrillators.
Defib. Call him defib.
Defib.
There you go.
Yeah,
Ooh,
that has nothing to do with healing, though.
maybe he does. Maybe that's what the shock things on the side are.
Ah,
That'd be interesting,
that would be cool. That would add a completely different aspect to that character.
right? All right, his name is Defib. We already know it now.
Defib.
All right. So, Pat, before we go, we did promise them we would talk about the diversity in Rainbow Six Siege. So let's talk about Capital and Castle. Of the two, go ahead.
I actually saw a really, really interesting thing. You know, a lot of the new cameras have that thermal vision.
Yes.
So Capital's fire arrow should block the line of sight. If since it's a giant heat source, it should block off. It should be too bright to see anything else
Mm-hmm.
to stop the intel.
Okay.
But his fire arrow does not have a heat signature.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
That's
So it
interesting.
does nothing for the thermal camera. It doesn't make him blind or anything.
Yeah, they should definitely fix that.
I think that would be a pretty cool play. You see one of Maestro's battle eyes
Mm-hmm.
or evil eyes, sorry, and you could block his vision for at least a couple minutes.
No, yeah, I definitely agree that they should definitely fix that. It would make him more viable in play. But out of the two, Castle and Capital, who would you prefer?
Well, I don't own Capital, so I would have to go with Castle. You see him in comp play a lot more often than Capital. I just think he's just a better operator in general. I don't think Capital's necessarily terrible, but I think Castle's a lot more viable.
See, I only see Capital on Bomb. 'Cause I think that's where he's most
that's
viable.
The only time you will see him. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do agree. I think Castle is the better of the two operators. But, I do think diversity is something they should look at. Like, these two operators are both white, I believe. Am I wrong?
Yeah. There's definitely not a lot of color on those. Cast.
Yeah, definitely not.
It's just Capital and Castle.
Now, what improvements to Capital or Castle would you make?
Other than the heat signature thing, I don't know what improvements I would make to Capital. I'm going to say I'm not going to make any to Castle because I think his role fits him pretty well. And you couldn't add more protection to his barriers, otherwise they'd be a little bit too.
Now, I have a question. What if, with his eye, he's got one eye. What if with the other eye, he had, no. Anytime he shot out smoke, he could, click something on, maybe flip up his patch, click something, and it gives him just, a little heat signature to see who's around those smokes.
So he's a robot?
Yeah. Capital the robot eye.
Oh, God. I'm not going to complain about that. I think that'd be pretty dope.
I agree. I do agree. Jason's very smart.
Now that you said something about having the eye thing under the eye patch, I really want him to have something under the eye patch.
He's got to have something under the eye patch. He's got to.
He's got to now.
Is there a story why he doesn't have an eye?
He fucking knocks his eye out playing with fire. His little fire,
I mean, probably.
I don't know. That's what I'm assuming.
Well, let's go to the Google machine. Just realized that Capitao has no eye, but he has the same field of vision as everybody else. That's a great idea. They should remove half this screen.
That would be a terrible nerf.
Yeah, just have half the screen black at all times.
Yeah. It's like you're playing on real mode.
Mm-hmm.
Realistic.
I'd be into it. Okay, Pat.
You'd be the only one.
No, yeah, nobody would like it. So after all the talk we have about Grimsky and these operators, first off, I didn't get your impressions of Grimsky. What are your 1 out of 10?
Give it a solid 7.5.
7.5. That's pretty high. Braxton gave it a 6. I'm also going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. I think it's interesting. I think that defender operator is going to be something totally different than anybody thinks. It could totally be a healing operator that has defibrillators. That's not something we've seen in the game, and it would be really cool. Instead of like restoring somebody to 50 health, maybe the defibrillator literally brings them back to 100 health. Would be insanely viable.
It just depends on how they actually play. But
Yeah.
I'm excited. I think they're going to make some interesting choices that will shake up the meta.
Definitely. And the people at Ubisoft are people that, if it doesn't work, they're not going to leave it. They'll make sure they work. And so right now we haven't seen any nerfs to Alibi or Maestro. I think those two, I think they kind of nailed. Do you think we're going to get nerfs from them anytime soon?
No, because I don't think they're the strongest characters. I don't think they need a nerf.
Yeah, I don't think either. I think they're fine the way they are.
In fact, why don't just give her an extra Prisma.
There were 4? That'd be wild.
No one gets fooled by them anymore. At least I don't.
Yeah,
It's just
I mean,
too hard.
I still shoot them here and there. But
It's been a while.
it has been a while. We have to get back on playing that game. We don't play it that much. I've been playing a lot of Wildlands, another Ubisoft title.
Well, I always play For Honor, but I've been playing casual without you guys.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fair. You got to keep up. But before we go, let's talk about Wildlands for a second, Pat. Do you like Wildlands?
I like it.
It's fun.
It's definitely, you have to go stealth heavy with it. You
Very,
can't
yeah.
bust in there.
And it does connect with Rainbow Six, because a lot of we could talk about that Caballero was just implemented in the game as a story mission, and you can dress up as any Rainbow Six operator in the game if you get it out of a box, which is really cool.
I haven't done that story mission yet, but I heard she was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I definitely want to play it. She sounds crazy.
She looks crazy.
The last thing I'll add about that is the in-game models in that game for Siege characters looks 10 times better than in the actual Rainbow Six game.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
it does look so much better.
Obviously, they're totally different games. They run on different engines, but it's just like, I'll look at somebody like Buck, and I'm like, oh my goodness, look at him. He's so pretty. And then I'll look at him in Rainbow Six, and I'm like, oh, he's gross. So,
God,
I mean,
he's a monster.
it would be awesome if they, just updated the engine to make it, like, crazy good-looking. Because that's the last thing they need in the game. The game's pretty, but it could be a lot prettier.
I think that's just the side effect of being. I mean, would you consider it old for a game? I will.
Yeah, I mean, what is it, 2 years, 3 years old at this point?
Yeah, and that's a really long cycle.
Yeah.
I think it's an old game.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and say it.
I don't know if a game has ever updated their engine while it was still in the. So we might be dealing with this engine for a long time.
I've never heard of. I mean, that's a hardware thing.
Yeah, I mean it's.
Would you be able to update it through?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, this is a new thing, a new meta in where seasons are coming out. Like I know Hitman, it's doing seasons now. So you buy a game, but then you get to play seasons of it, episodic games like that. So I mean, it's gonna stay on the same engine. So we're probably gonna have to sit and like this game's going to outdate itself at a point where until Rainbow Six Siege 2 comes out, I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah, and I don't see that being in the near future at all. Like, it would definitely be at least 3 years from now.
I think a great idea would be to release a Rainbow Six 2 with an updated engine, and then you automatically get the operators that are already out, and then there you go. You start from that point.
I think that would be really cool.
Yeah.
That would be something I don't think the gaming community has seen, like, where it's just like, what do you think people would buy that, though? Do you think people would feel ripped off with that?
I don't know. If they update the engine and if it's not a completely new game, but just like new things,
Yeah, just revamp.
it'd be interesting. It's like how Fortnite does it. Like, Fortnite is a different game every couple weeks. Not gameplay wise, but there are things that they add that changes gameplay insanely. Like, they'll add golf carts and stuff like that, and it changes the game. So it's definitely interesting.
I can see it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to what they can do in the future. That's what I'll say.
I do have a past problem.
Uh-oh.
We could-
I'm by
it'll
myself
be a
here.
quick one,
All right, so,
if you want.
all right. I would love a Pat's Problems. I don't really have a song for it, but I'll just do like one of these. Everybody get ready! It's time for Pat's Problems! Boom, 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 boom. All right, Pat, go ahead.
So, fair. I like that.
Yeah.
It's not a problem with the game.
Okay.
It'll be almost a new addition. It's from the community.
Oh,
Not our community, because our community is awesome.
right.
But just the Rainbow Six Siege community in general.
Okay.
Okay. So, I joined, like I said, I've been playing casual without you guys.
Right.
One game, actually, I mean, this has happened multiple times, but speaking about recently, just joined the game, got kicked out immediately. What is that?
Yeah,
I hate,
the thing about this community is, and I saw this on Reddit, where a new player will come in with a recruit skin and they'll just get written a bunch of nasty stuff like a F you, and then they'll get kicked. That can't happen in a game where you don't know how to like you're just trying to play the game and you can't, because these people that take the game way too seriously will make it unfun for you. I especially in casual, because you literally have to start out in casual, and I think casual is insanely more toxic than ranked will ever be, because it just gives you more freedom to kill anybody you want or kick anybody you want. And I think they have a lot of stride to make that game mode more viable and less toxic. And I don't know how they're going to do it. It just...
one solution I saw was just change the name. Like, that seems so basic, but change it from casual to unranked.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Also, I think you shouldn't be allowed to kick anybody in the first round, like their first round, and I don't know, maybe unless they team kill, I don't see why anybody should be kicked ever, because I mean they're playing the game. If they're throwing, then that sucks, but I don't know.
But it happens. Like, I'd rather have someone throw on my team than get me get or them get
team killed. Yeah, it's really hard to think about that problem and give a great solution. And I know, I'm sure Ubisoft doesn't want this stuff to happen. Like, but I see strides.
It seems like it happens so often. That may be like confirmation bias, but it just seems like it happens every other game.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's just that community. It sucks that they take the game so seriously a lot, and I'm guilty of it too. Where I'll be serious about the game, but at least give somebody a chance to play the game. It's
yeah. And here's the thing: I never got the hilarity behind it. Oh, I kicked him. Yeah, me and my buddies kicked that guy for no reason.
Yeah,
it's just a different mentality that I can't get behind or even understand. You're just ruining someone else's fun.
You got to think that these these people are, either 12-year-olds or they're just neckbeards. Yeah. This community is great. We went to Atlantic City. We saw pro play, and it was so much fun. But, there are those people that are going to ruin games. Like, again, I'll bring back to Fortnite. A lot of people are hating Fortnite, not because it's a bad game, because it's got a bad community. A lot of, whiny kid. We know people personally that don't play the game anymore just because they don't like the player base. So, it's something they're going to work towards in the future. But, Pat... Go ahead.
We had a good time at Atlantic City because I think that's a very small percentage of the population, and I think that's the best side of the population, the ones that are I really want to go to pro leagues, and I don't know. I think the people that went there are what Rainbow Six should be, because I never had a bad conversation with the ones that we talked to. Because they were always really cool, but
right.
Yes.
Yeah, the people that are dealing with the problem, any listeners that are dealing with that problem, you gotta kind of just have to endure. Or, you could test your skills in terrorist hunt by yourself. I do that a lot. The one trophy I need to get the platinum is the terrorist hunt one, and it's fun. To just
be really difficult if you put it on realistically.
Yeah, I know. But once you get to a certain rank, you can play ranked, and that's another thing. Maybe lower the skill cap, because 15 I feel like is a good skill cap, not 20, because that 15 to 20 is a grind.
It's a bit grindy. At 15 you should know the basics and be able to do
right
at least something in ranked.
And you'll have some operators unlocked, so you're not just a recruit.
You're not playing bare naked. You know?
Well, Pat, what do you think of this episode? It was a lot more informative than days prior.
I like having us change it up.
Yeah, sometimes you do free flow. This one was very structured.
I think it's good to have a little bit of variety.
Yeah, I think people are going to like this one.
I will say my favorites are where we just joke around and do whatever.
Yeah, that's true. Well, the scheduling issues have been tough for us, but we always want to bring you guys a podcast. We hate going on vacation. This one is a day late, but since all this Grim Sky news, we wanted to get that all out there and get that to you as soon as possible instead of waiting till next week,
I think we made the right choice.
I think we did. But, Pat, before we go, let me say thank you to all the listeners and all the viewer questions. The one viewer question we had this week, sorry we didn't really go in-depth about it. We had a lot to talk to about Grim Sky. If you have more questions, we'll go more in-depth next week because we're not going to have a lot to talk about next week. But thank you for everybody on Twitter. Follow us at Swapping Mags Pod. The Facebook isn't really operating, but I think we're going to get on it. We're going to get on it very soon. And if you guys... anybody that follows Braxton on Instagram, you can follow me on Instagram. Pat doesn't have one, but that's it. Anything you want to add, Pat?
Other than thank you for the continued support, I don't think I have much else to add.
All right. Another thing I want to. Yeah, shout out to the fans. Another thing I want to add. I think I mentioned it earlier in the podcast. We are going to work on some audio issues that we had. I got a shock mount for the microphone, so you're not going to hear all those loud bangs and booms. So hopefully we are going to up the production next week. But
up the production.
Yeah. But until next week, guys, don't forget to swap them. Oh, I messed it up. Damn it.
Oh, no.
All right, I'm going to try it again. And until next week, guys, don't forget to swap those mags. Nailed it. All right, peace out.
Swapping mags!
Swapping mags. Swapping mags. Swapping mags.
Swapping mags!